Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Wooster City Council. Because of Labor Day, this meeting is being held on Tuesday, September 4th, 2018. It's after 7:30 p.m. The next meeting will be Monday, September 17th, 2018. If you would be so kind, Mr. Paulo, and welcome back. We managed to make it through in your absence at the last meeting. Mr. Gibbons filled in okay, but not the same. So if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Ansel?
Here.
Mr. Bostancic?
Here.
Mr. Cavan?
Yes, here.
Mr. Myers?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Silvestri?
Here.
Ms. Warden?
And she had informed us that she would not be here tonight because she has class on Tuesday night. So we do have a quorum, and the agenda will remain as presented. I should note that I think our new law director, John Scavelli is here, so welcome. So I don't know what you have to do to earn a seat at the table, but I'm sure you can drag one around and sit there as opposed to sitting in the audience. Is he on the clock tonight?
He is on the
All
clock.
right, then he should be sitting at that table.
Since 8 o'clock this
Anyways.
morning.
So, at this time, I ask you to stand and join the members of the City Council in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Hope everyone had a good Labor Day weekend. I've had a few under my belt, and I can't remember one that was as hot as it was this past weekend. So I hope everyone enjoyed it and did get to do some things outside, but I found myself going in around 1 o'clock until the sun kind of went down. So anyways, so at this point in time, we'll be looking for, or I'll be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2018 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Silvestri to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bostancic. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The minutes of August 20th, 2018 are approved. Welcome, Mr. Mayor, and looking forward to what you have to tell us tonight about new and exciting things here in the city.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bidendike and council members. Nice to see everyone. Really, I have two exciting things to tell you. First, as you mentioned, is John Scavelli has joined us now. And so he's been here since 8 o'clock, and I told him he probably wouldn't get home till about 9 o'clock tonight. So it's a long first day, but he's getting up to speed with everybody in the City Hall area, and we sure appreciate him coming on board. And I also want to, again, recognize Mr. Kevin Gibbons for all of his efforts in our organization. He's been a great person to carry us in between law directors, and will continue on in acting director spot for us, which is a wonderful thing. So thanks to both of you, and welcome, John, to the team. Thank you. The other thing is a true celebration for our city. We dedicated the northeast quadrant of our square. It is finished for all practical purposes. We have a few maybe punch list items, some plantings that we have to do, and a few things like that. But for all practical purposes, open to the public and usable by anyone and everyone. It might be interesting for council. The Northeast Quad was really the first streetscape project that we did in the city in modern time. You know, maybe back in the early 1900s, they may have done some things, but I couldn't find any information on it. So to me, this is really the first concentrated streetscape project that was done. Council approved hiring an engineer to plan phase 1 back in December 3rd of 1990. And in 1991, actually a year later, Council approved hiring the firm to improve Liberty Street from Grant Street to Beaver Street and from Market Street from Laurel to Henry Streets with the public square and certain alleyways. That was 27 years ago. So this, our first piece lasted, a quarter of a century for our city, and really was a great place. But you do have to definitely take care of what we have and make sure it's a good spot for our community. And you also have to sort of refresh yourself every so often, and I think that's what we've done with this new quad. So I'm very pleased to have that finished up and moving forward with other things. So with that, I know John Crum is here to speak to an issue, but I think he's going to do that in the public comments, but it concerns something that's on your agenda this evening. So with that, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We don't have any petitions or communications from the public that I'm aware of, no. So that allows us to roll right into committee reports, which I don't think we've had a committee hearings since last we met, and there's no public hearings. We had one last meeting. That brings us to unfinished business, which will be, Mr. Ansel will be on second reading. And if you would please read the title, Mr. Paulo, I'd appreciate it.
Resolution number 2018-046, a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into a professional services contract with the accounting firm Clark Schaefer Hackett for auditing services and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ansel, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This was introduced 2 weeks ago. It's very straightforward. We know the options as outlined in the request for agenda item that Mr. Doherty had put together. It seems to be a very simple solution to go ahead and extend for 2 more years the accounting services provided by Clark Schaefer and Hackett. They've done a very good and thorough job. The state will not be performing the audit, so we do have to hire a third party. And we can see the increase for the next 2 years will be 0.97% or 0.1% and less than 1% at 0.88. So it's very reasonable. We're happy when we did a competitive review 3 years ago. They were selected, so this will be a 2-year renewal, and the amounts referenced for 2018, $88,350, and for 2019, $89,125. It is a budgeted item, and I would, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to motion to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading. So motion made.
Okay, motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Ansel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sanders. Would you please call the roll on the suspension of the rules?
Ansel,
Yes.
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Costanza.
Yes.
Okay, the rules are suspended. I look to you again.
Motion to adopt, Mr. President.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Ansel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Myers. Any further discussion? Haven't heard anything from Mr. Doherty, so you must be satisfied with the job they did, so that's good enough endorsement for me, but I don't vote. Mr. Cavan.
It just seems like it's just a very small nominal increase from last year. Does that correlate with the increased volume at the hospital with the additions, or?
No, I think that's probably CPI, everything, sometimes the next things, costs go up for that company as well, but that is well below what the current CPI index is.
And everyone has software costs that
Right.
usually go up every year, so, I'm sure we have a pro rata portion of that. Anything else? Seeing none, would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Ansel,
Yes.
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Costanza.
Yes.
Resolution number 2018-046 passes. That brings us to new business. And that would be Resolution 2018-049. Sorry, when I did my script, I had some insertions in the wrong spot, so I'm not used to having to jump around like I am. So this will be again with Mr. Ansel. It's scheduled for 3 readings. Before I turn it back over to Mr. Ansel, I will ask very nicely if Mr. Paula would read the title again.
Resolution number 2018-049, a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to issue payment for services rendered under contracts with various vendors and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ansel, the floor is yours.
This is an administrative issue. From time to time, we receive services before purchase orders are completed to document the transaction. This was one of those delayed timing issues, and as we are all aware of, if it's in excess of $3,000, it has to come before council to receive the financial approval acknowledging that the services were rendered, and they were Grandview Landscape Management LLC in the amount of $43.50. You saw the attachment in our council packet. So it exceeds the $3,000 threshold. It has to become before council because there was a missed purchase order we owe for services rendered. So this is just an administrative cleanup. So procedurally, we're correct in our process. So seeing no questions, I'm in a motion to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Ansel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Silvestri. Would you please call the roll on the motion to suspend the rules?
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Costansich.
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
And the rules are suspended. Mr. Ansel.
Motion to adopt, Mr. President.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Ansel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Silvestri. Any further questions or comments? Mr. Silvestri.
I thought maybe it was possible that the landscaping company came out and maybe performed services sooner than expected. Did that happen?
Actually, they withheld payment for a number of months, and if we would have caught it earlier, they would have billed us on time. So they added 2 months together.
Okay.
And we're obligated to pay it. It's just procedurally we have to go through this.
Hopefully it still looks nice even now.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Cavan,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Sanders,
Yes.
Silvestri,
Yes.
Costansich.
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Resolution number 2018-049 passes. Brings us to resolution number 2018-050. This will again be presented by Mr. Ansel, and we'll have Mr. Crum speak when you so desire. Before I turn it back over to you, Mr. Ansel, I will turn again to Ms. DiPaolo, if she would please read the resolution.
Resolution number 2018-050, a resolution authorizing the mayor to make a gift to the Greater Wayne County Foundation for the benefit of the Wayne County Fairground Improvement Campaign.
Mr. Ansel, the floor is yours.
Yes, before I articulate my enthusiasm in support of this initiative, I would like the director of the campaign for the Junior Fair Livestock and Event Center, Mr. John Crum, to maybe give us a little overview and summary of the project status and future.
Sure. Has everybody got one of these brochures?
Yeah.
Let me just describe it a little bit, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the campaign. I believe that this project is a great project for 4-H. I believe it's a great project for the county. It's a great project for the city. It just has all elements. If you think of the county, there's a lot of 4-H kids in our county, 1,500 4-H members. I think there's somewhere around 400 or 500 FFA kids. So over 2,000 kids that are impacted by this project. And what this project does, in years past, 4-H has continued to grow. And each year we get more and more projects. And the kids go to show these animals, and they start at 8 o'clock in the morning. And because hogs and sheep have got to be so popular, these shows end up going past 6, 7, 8 o'clock, all the way into 9. I think a show last year ended at like 10 o'clock. If you think about the value of 4-H to our community, it is really important. These kids learn a lot of life skills, how to manage projects, how to take on these projects, the hard work, the effort, and so forth, the values that Wayne County really should support overall. The only reason I got involved is because I believe it's so important to our business community, and also to the ag community. So I have a little bit of ag side to me. You know, I have a small farm. I grew up in southeast Ohio, went through the 4-H program myself, so I understand how important it is overall. From the business community, we want these young children to go through this program and be a positive experience. And here's what I'll say about the positive experience. When shows go from 7, 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, kids become discouraged. Parents become discouraged because they have to get kids off to school the next day, grandparents also. And what we want is to continue, we want to grow the facility down there so that we have the ample space for livestock, as well as show these animals so that they can start at 8 o'clock in the morning and then at 7 and 8 o'clock at night, which is a reasonable hour. Now, the second reason I like this project is 2 weeks a year, there's an event center. I'll call it an exposition center is what I would choose to call it. And that is used for the shows, okay? And then 50 weeks a year, it's available for events, trade shows, conferences, and so forth. Now, how does this relate to the city? Okay, if we have a facility of that quality, you can see in the brochure, that can have trade shows, events, and so forth, on the weekends and so forth, where do you think those people are gonna go to eat? It's gonna be downtown. Where do you think they might go and sleep overnight? It's gonna be downtown. So I think this city has a great amount of opportunity to help out with Main Street, Wooster, and the city as a whole. But I think it's a bigger thing than that. I really think it encompasses just who we are as a county and what we support. I'm going to tell you a story, and this might resonate everything with you. I had a breakfast for people from the city, the county, business leaders in our community, and I had that breakfast at the country club one day, and I thought to myself, I'm going to invite the junior leadership of 4-H, some of the kids who know the project. This was one day prior. They greeted the people at the front door. These are 16, 17-year-old kids, dressed very nicely, shook their hands, gave them their badge. I said, you don't need to speak. But right before I did, I said, I would like the girls and boys. There were 3 girls and 1 boy there. And I said, can you give me your name, and can you tell me what projects you had? And the first girl said she had a rabbit, she had a goose, she had a lamb, I forget what else, she had 4 projects. Next one had a fat steer, breeding heifer. Next one had a dairy project and something else, and the boy had a still project. And I thought, well, that's good, because it shows the diversity. But I realized one of the girls, I knew of her family, and I knew she liked to show fat steers. And she would want to be in that show ring at the end when they show from competition. And I'll spare her last name, but I said, Abby, you're here at 7:30 this morning. And I said, did you feed your steer this morning? She said, Mr. Crum, I did. I said, did you wash and blow out your steer this morning? I had not asked her this. She said, I did. And then I said, then how did you get here at 7:30 in the morning to greet all of us in this community? And she said, I got up at 4:45 to make that happen. And that's what I'm asking everybody in this room to realize, how important 4-H is to this county, to this city, to this group as a whole, on top of that, all the benefits that this event center brings to our county. I've probably taken 100 personal hours as a business community leader to ask other businesses to contribute, okay? And over $800,000 to date has been given that way. From the ag community, probably another, I don't know, I'm gonna say $500,000 to $600,000. Right now, I'll have to do the math, but we're right at 1.3 million. This project started out 1.75. And I would ask this council to be part of the solution here. Both, I'm asking the county, the city, business leaders, I want to see the collaboration of this entire community to support this project. I would like to see us finish this campaign right after the fair. Meaning, within days after the fair, we will be raising money during the fair. We will have the thermometer. I would like you all to be part of this, because I would like to see us breaking ground or tearing down buildings in the weeks following the fair. So the next year we have this project ready to go for the kids, for the community, and all of that. So that's my spiel, you know, from that standpoint. I can answer questions or whatever, but I wholeheartedly believe in this project, and mainly because I think it does everything we want in this county, this city, and then for the business community as a whole to keep that type of people in our county working hard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crum. Before I get into my discussion on proposed funding and options to support this very important initiative, thank you for your enthusiasm and passion for 4-H and this facility and what it will contribute not only to our community but our youth. And it's very, very important to recognize, you know, these kids aren't sitting playing video games. They're out there becoming disciplined and structured and committed to you know, something that will have tremendous future impact on their lives and careers. So the foundation, the fundamentals of 4-H are recognized and we're respected, and we're lucky to live in a community that still prioritizes the impact of the sweat equity and the discipline that organizations like 4-H have in place. And you know, it's also very interesting when you talk about conventions. Wooster, you know, has strong competition in surrounding counties, and we've lost with the closure of the Buckeye Convention Center, with the expansion of P. Graham Dunn. I mean, that business brought hundreds of thousands of dollars of visitors and guests to our community. And unfortunately, it was short notice, and Marty Starkey and Sandra Hall will be at our next meeting to give their compelling summary and commentary as to why they support this initiative. And it just seems to have strong momentum in the collaborative approach that your committee and the county board, county fair board has initiated. You'll achieve your goal. Before I go into the further detail, are there any questions that you would like to ask Mr. Crum? Yeah, Mr. Silvestri, please.
Thank you for that, Mr. Crum. I really appreciate you taking the time to give us the overview of the project, and then even the story about the character of the youth that are involved in this project, and in the types of organizations that are going to utilize the facility. Couple of questions. I didn't know if did I hear you say 1.75 million was kind of the scope of the whole project? Does that include the raising or the removal of the 5 buildings as well? And does it also include what was deemed kind of the optional heating and air conditioning of the main building?
Yes. Well, first of all, that is part of the project, you know. And what I've heard, and it's actually in print in the Wayne County, I think it was the kids pamphlet that they sent out.
Sure, it's that much to see.
Okay. Yeah, real quickly, the buildings aren't going to come down, you know, during that period of time. That is part of the scope, and we plan to do that with the funding there shortly after that. There's a lot of interest in the buildings because building products are going up, and at this point in time, they were going to have them tore down at a cost, And at this point in time, they've realized there's enough interest to actually auction them off. So it might actually be a fundraiser versus taking away. And we've got a lot of interest for that. You can imagine woods went up, steels went up, and there's a lot of people that have a need for that. The second half is was it the raising, what was the second?
The heating and air conditioning.
Yes,
I mean,
so the heating and air conditioning is in the 1.75.
Okay.
And again, my goal, I wouldn't have stepped up to try to lead this, is to try to secure the 1.75 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because I want to get to that point. We have support, and I believe we'll finish this campaign by strong support at the fair, as well as some community leaders that will step up, you know, as we try to close this down. But we're going to need everybody. I've asked the city. I've also asked the county also to participate, because, as John said, the reason I'm here is because I want it to be a collaborative effort. You know, not just the fairgrounds, but I want to see the city, the county, and the business community come together about buying this important asset. So, yes, it will be, and I believe with everybody stepping up and making a pledge, that we will have the heating and air conditioning right out of the gate. But if people kind of step back and say, wait and see, well then, you know what? It's not gonna happen, because everybody's not making the pledges, or we've already got $1.3 million of people saying, I'm in. This makes a lot of sense. So that's why I come to you, is to say, we need your money also.
Great vision, John, and again, thanks for championing this cause. And you know, it is so neat, the collaborative approach at all levels. I know he's come to our organization and made the pitch, and we've supported it because we're committed to it, and the county commissioners seem to be very positive in favor of this, and it really is unique when we can rally together resources and you know, embrace it and succeed in this type of initiative. So it is very positive. The uniqueness of our recommendation, and again, we're going to wait till Ms. Warden returns because of the scope of this. It's nice to have everybody's input. So that will be 2 more weeks. But the proposal that has been presented to us by the administration, and this can be a staggered or it can be a lump sum contribution, but they're looking at you know, up to a 5-year contribution commitment, but it's easier just to do it in one commitment level. So the city administration has recommended a $30,000 donation for this project, and it is not coming out of the general fund. So it isn't taxpayer money, it's monies that we receive from bed tax fund donation. And as you're all aware, we keep a percentage. We take roughly 50% of the bed taxes and allocate it proportionately to the Wayne County Convention Bureau and the Chamber and Main Street. You know, they submit their annual bid that goes out, and we say, okay, we'll review a request for distribution of this allocation, but it has to be related to, you know, the entertainment, tourist type of endeavors. So what better way to spend the bed tax than for those resources that will increase utilization by visiting Wooster and Wayne County. That's always been the logic. So we've got it in our funds available to make the appropriate distribution. The administration is recommending a one-time lump sum component, and it's easier that way administratively, and we do have the funds available. So that being noted, we'll keep this on first reading this evening. Please, you know, you can forward any questions that you might have to John Crumb's email at Seaman Corp, or the campaign committee, or if you want to channel everything through the administration, I'm sure Joel would be happy and the mayor would be happy to respond to any of those questions. We'll have made the first reading this evening, Mr. President, and we can move on to other business.
All right. Thank you. As you noted, first reading of resolution number 2018-050 has been had. Brings us to the final piece of legislation tonight. This will be presented by Mr. Silvestri, since the chairman of the committee, Ms. Warden, is in class. Before I get to you, Mr. Silvestri, I will have Ms. DiPaolo, if she would, read for the last time the title to a piece of legislation.
Resolution number 2018-051. A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to purchase a vehicle in accordance with the capital plan for 2018.
Mr. Silvestri, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So what we have before us is a request for replacement of our mechanical street sweeper. I know I've gotten that question over the years on council, and I'm happy to say that our Public Properties Maintenance Division has a regular schedule for the sweeping of streets, and it's more than just aesthetics, and it's more than just convenience. It's nice to have clean streets, it's safe to have clean streets, but it also keeps us from having to spend much resources unclogging our sanitary sewer. It is a personal pet peeve of mine when I see anybody, residents or anybody, blowing grass clippings out in the street. I'm amazed how often I see that. And thankfully, for those that are mildly inconsiderate enough to think that's okay, we do have street sweepers, and maybe they're not going to take care of the residential streets, but they take care of the more arterial streets. So I want to thank the city for the work that they do there. I've actually been questioned before on the schedule that we keep, especially the downtown streets, so I'm glad that we have a regular maintenance schedule for that. The unit that we currently have is a 2000 model, and it has over 5,000 hours on it. I know they're expensive to maintain, these units, and they wear out over time. I didn't get a list of all that's worn out on this particular unit, but I know Kurt Denning is here, our Public Properties Maintenance Manager, for any specific questions. I always want to make sure that we've squeezed every last drop of value out of things like this, so I'm a little concerned, especially with the high dollar value. But I didn't get to ask him what the trade-in value would be, but I know we're going to either do a trade-in or sell it on govdeals.com, whatever brings the highest dollar. So with the new unit, I know we'll be able to maintain streets throughout the city. I'm also curious, I don't know, is the unit down now, or are we still keeping our regular schedule, Kurt?
It is actually on the rack right now, being repaired.
I was afraid of that, okay. So, and hence the closing sentence here, with the new unit, PPM will be able to continually maintain the streets throughout the city. So, again, I want to thank Kurt for the good job that he does, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions. This does not require 3 readings, so unless there are issues, we'd have to table it if people needed more time, but 3 readings are not required this evening. So.
Is that the only unit we have? Do we have more than one? We do, right, 2?
We have a vacuum style sweeper, and then this is a mechanical style. So this is the one that you see that has a room behind it.
And we use this for, other than cleaning, if we have like a little paving project we can do, clears the pavement so we can pave. So it's those that like multitasking, this is multitasking. Like Elton Brown says, he never buys a kitchen utensil unless he can find at least 2 uses for it. So, and Mr. Doherty is probably better at math, but 18 into 260 is how much? I see you had your calculator there.
Yeah.
So,
Do math.
do you know what that is?
Yes.
How much?
What was the question? I was doing that. I was calculating that we wanted about 300 hours a year. So
I mean, I knew I was talking, I recognized my voice. But 18 in the 260 is what?
Approximately 1.5.
14.44.
Thousand? Yeah, I doubt we could rent equipment for $14,500 a year. And so, is it worth if you amortize it in terms of the useful life we seem to get out of equipment, worth buying.
Will we get maybe 10 or 20,000 out of it
We'll
currently?
get 14,000
Okay.
actually.
So that takes the number down even further.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's how I look at it, you know, yeah, 260,000 is a lot of money to swallow right up front, but if we had to rent it on a yearly basis, we'd spend a lot more money.
You're probably $6,000 or $7,000 a month to rent.
With that, if there's no other questions or discussion, I move for adoption.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Silvestri. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Myers. Would you please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Myers.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Silvestri.
Yes.
Ansel.
Yes.
Cavan.
Yes.
Costanza.
Yes.
Resolution number 2018-051 passes. That brings us to a miscellaneous. I will like to recognize, we have a junior here who was given the assignment of attending a city council meeting, and he had a number he could have chosen from, and he picked ours, so welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have any comments? You want to be a politician now that you see how things operate?
It's fun to learn about politics. Fun to learn how all of the processes go, how you guys decide how this happened, that happened.
And your timing couldn't be perfect. This is one of the shortest meetings we'll probably have all year. So you still can get home in plenty of time to get a good night's sleep before you have to attend class. So and it was nice that your dad brought you.
Thanks for coming.
Mr. Biden, if I could add, Tom Martin is his dad, and he's part of the Gojo team that started up the operation out at the old Rubbermaid facility, and has been a great contributor to our community. So just wanted to recognize him also.
Yeah, I noted the Gojo's shirt gave him away. So we'll move right along into miscellaneous, and we will start with Mr. Myers.
Thank you, President Biden. Just two things this evening. I just wanted to note, maybe you saw the article in the paper, perhaps the Wooster Exchange Club honored our first responders, and I just wanted to congratulate those folks that were given plaques and lunch at the Wooster Inn. We had fire medic Scott Kuiper from the Wooster Police Department as firefighter of the year. We had Deputy Brent Bernhardt of Wayne County Sheriff's Department, who was Deputy of the Year. And our patrolman, Philip Cove, Worcester Police Department, was Officer of the Year. And there was a nice picture in the paper of those folks and thanking them for their service. So congratulations to those guys.
And our officer is one of the K-9 handlers.
Yes, he did.
Chief Fisher was there. I happened to be there being a member of
You were a
the
judge?
club. So, but yeah, it was a very, very nice luncheon and presentation, so.
And the second thing I wanted to do is congratulate President Biden. Today is his, I believe it was today, right? 42nd wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
So we know that his wife has infinite patience.
I could have gone home and had dinner with my wife, or I could have gone to the ribbon cutting ceremony. After 42 years, you learn a few things. That's a
You want to
priority.
see 43?
Yeah.
Better go.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much.
That's all I had this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bostancic,
Nothing more at this time.
Mr. Cavan?
I did have a question. I maybe could have waited another time other than miscellaneous, but I was kind of curious if we had replaced the code enforcement officer yet. Justin.
We had interviews today. They were interviewing, I think, 8 different individuals, and we hope to have someone in that position shortly. But I think they held 2, if not 3 interviews today, and the others are scheduled. So hopefully soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Cavan?
I think that was it.
Okay. Mr. Ansel?
Yes, I want to compliment the city administration for the Center Greens dedication. It was a nice turnout by the community. It was a wonderful event. Certainly, we were delivered a quality product. and it really will have a lot of future use. It was extremely well done, and the ultimate compliment to Joel and the PPM staff for coordinating that major undertaking initiative. But just another fine assets for Worcester's downtown. It was a well-attended event. Many of us were there, so good job, congratulations.
Engineering had a lot to do with it.
Engineering, yes. That's all I have,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President.
Mr. Silvestri?
Yes, I also wanted to add that because of work commitments today, I was unable to attend the ribbon cutting, but I trusted it went well. I wanted to thank everyone for all their hard work. I know there's a lot of people in the community excited about the opening and the finishing of that project. So on another note, I think it's all the more imperative that we maintain the beauty of our downtown. And I know some of my constituents have had questions with respect to how we're handling some of the homeless issues that we've encountered as a city recently. So I want to thank Joel. I know he's watching other cases closely and looking at solutions there. So I just wanted to say if there's any way I can be of help. I know there's a number of my constituents that would like to see us obviously be fair, but continue to make Worcester a great place, keep Worcester a great place to live, work, and do business. And I just wanted to say to the young man who attended the meeting, thank you for coming. I had no idea what city council really did or what their function was at your age. So you've got a leg up on me. I can speak for only myself. But
you do now.
I do now. We're here to make sure that the money your parents spend, whether in the office or at home, on the tax dollars they send to us, that we're using them wisely and effectively to give them the best value. So thanks again for attending. Have a good evening. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Sanders, we'll let you have the last
I
word.
have nothing to add, Mr. President.
And again, welcome, John. And I got a note before we adjourn, his first meeting, he was already directing people where to stand. Impressive. So,
Motion to adjourn,
motion to
Mr.
adjourn by
President.
Mr. Ansel, second by Mr. Myers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.